Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for joining the session this evening. My name is Andrew Fleming. Before we begin, I know some of you have already done this. For those who've just joined, if you could just confirm in the chat that you can hear me before we begin. It's good for you to get familiar with the chat because I will be asking you some questions to get to know you a little bit better a little bit later on. So it's good for you to get used to the chat. But in the meantime, if you could just confirm in the chat that you can definitely hear me before we begin, and once I know that you can, we'll begin straight away. Yeah, okay, that's great to hear. Great to hear. So, well, let's begin the presentation. So, to introduce myself, my name's Andrew Fleming. I represent the University of Sheffield, and I also work for Innova Education. I am based in Mexico City. So, my role is to promote and help students find out more about the University of Sheffield, but also I'm here to help you throughout the entire process. So I'm here to help you find the right course. I'm here to help you find the right scholarship. We will help you with the visa process as well. We'll be giving you support. So this is the beginning of a great relationship that we're going to have together to help support you to study in the University of Sheffield. So let's begin. So why would you choose to study at the University of Sheffield? There are universities all over the world. You know, there's so many options out there. Why should you choose the University of Sheffield? Well, firstly, we're a leading global university. We're a world top 100 university. We're currently ranked 78th in the world. So of all the universities that exist in the world, we are in the top 100. So we are one of the very best universities. We're also a member of the Russell Group. Now, the Russell Group is a bit like, if you know, in America, the Ivy League. It's the top tier of universities, and in this case, in the UK. And they're always universities that are really heavily focused on research, investigación. So this is, if you're interested in research, these kind of universities are going to be perfect for you. We're also one of the most international universities in the world, top 50 in the world. So we have around 28,000 students from around 140 different countries. So we have students from all over the world, from countries that you didn't even know existed. So this is the first thing I'm going to ask you is, I know that there are people from lots of different countries here in the webinar today. I would like to ask you to type in the chat where you're from so we get to know. I'll start. So here we go. England. Anyone else wants to let us know where you're from, that would be great. Mexico, excellent. Mexico, lots of Mexicans, excellent. Okay. Mexico too. Oh, okay. Bolivia, okay. Further south, great. Excellent, excellent. So yeah, Bolivia as well, okay. Lots of Mexicans, lots of Bolivians. And I know that later on in the session we'll be joined by other people from different parts of Latin America as well. So that's great to hear. But it's a very international experience. That's something that's so key, especially when you're learning politics as well, and you're interested in building relationships between international institutions. This is so important that you will get the opportunity to study at a university with people from all over the world. It's incredibly important, and it's something very unique to the UK and very unique to Sheffield that you get this opportunity to study with people from all over the world to build from their ideas. It's so important. We have 6 Nobel Prize winners, mainly in the areas of physiology and chemistry. Probably the most famous is Sir Hans Krebs. If you've heard of the Krebs cycle, that was discovered in the beautiful building, which is what we would have it is our rectoria, right behind in the picture there. So it's something very impressive to have 6 Nobel Prize winners. We also have lots of different scholarship options available. So we have automatic scholarships for worth 2,000 to 2,500 pounds. For masters, we have scholarships up to the value of 25%. For undergraduate, so licenciatura, bachelors, we have up to the value of 50%. If you're interested in a PhD, we have our own scholarships that the university provides and pays to have PhD students. And we work with Schevening as well. If you'd like to learn more about shifting, I can please get in touch. It's a great option. It is provided by the British government and it covers the entire cost of your master's plus cost of living. It's a really good deal. We also receive scholars from ANI, from Uruguay, Cenecit from Ecuador, Colfuturo from Colombia, Cien Becos from Bolivia, Guatefuturo, Guess from Guatemala, Conacit, Funer, and Fider from Mexico. So we get scholars from all over the world. Government sponsors are very interested in the University of Sheffield for the reasons I've just mentioned. We're one of the best universities in the world, extremely international, and also the level of investigation of research is extremely high, and that's something that they value a lot. There is also an outstanding student experience waiting for you. We have over 300 clubs and societies. Any hobbies or interests that you may have, you can develop them there. So maybe you have an interest in music. I'll give my example. I wanted to be the next Avicii. Too soon. David Guetta, maybe. And I joined the DJ Society. Any hobbies or interests that you may have, either there's a society already waiting for you to join, or you can even create your own society and the university will support you. So the experience there is incredible. You will obviously, you're going to work hard and learn, with the best professors in the world. But at the same time, you're going to have a wonderful experience. This is the Students' Union. It has been the best students' union in the UK for 10 years. If you don't know what a students' union is, it's basically the social hub for the university. It has shops, bars, restaurants, even has a fine dining restaurant, nightclub, cinema, all of this going on in the university. And you have loads of support there. So we know, in case anyone's been to the UK before, feel free to type in the chat if you have been to the UK and where you've been to. But if you have been, by all means, let me know. That would be really interesting. But if you haven't, let me tell you, when you arrive in the UK, whether it's touchdown in Heathrow or Manchester Airport or wherever it may be, you will realize straight away that the UK is a very unique place. You get off the plane and suddenly, hang on a second, they're driving on the other side of the road. The money's strange. The plug sockets are even different. You can drink water out of the tap, which I always think is quite cool. There's so many things. The accents, the fact that we have a queen. The UK is a very, very unique country, and that's something that's special and worth celebrating. But perhaps when you arrive to the UK, you may struggle at the very beginning with the structure of the university, the style of work, the referencing styles. We have support for you there at the university, so you will feel supported. So that's something that's super important, that you have support and you have guidance. There's also Job Shop, whether it's a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or PhD degree, you can work while you study up to 20 hours a week. And there's a shop in there, the Job Shop, and you can go in and find a job. They will help you find a job. So it's a great place. You will have so many happy memories in the Students' Union. We have a fantastic relationship with Latin America. I'm based in Mexico, but I travel around Mexico, but I've also been to quite a few different countries in South America and also a country in Central America. And we work with students from all over Latin America. And we love working with you, and the university loves to have you there. You guys are so passionate. You work really hard. If you have an idea, you express it, and you want to study politics and international relations. If you're not willing to debate, that's not going to work. We want you to come over and really express yourself. Tell us about your culture, your ideas. And that's something that Latin American students do very well. And we have actually a Latin American society. And they do loads of fun activities. They give you loads of support. Even if you're interested, they'll even come and meet you at Sheffield train station, so that after your long journey from wherever you're from, and you finally get to Sheffield and there's someone from your home country or even hometown waiting for you at the train station, that's a really nice experience. And they all give you loads of support. They often help, when people are leaving, they'll donate their books or desk spaces, desk chairs and things like that. So something that's going to really support you. And they do loads of fun activities as well. They meet up every Thursday at a local pub and that's something that's really cool. And it's you may miss speaking Spanish a little bit, so you get an opportunity to speak in Spanish. And it's not just Latin American students. You also have people like myself who are not Latin, but who are really interested in Latin American culture. Speaking of that, they do loads of really fun cultural activities. So for you Mexicans, here we are. You've got your bailes folclóricos and your catrinas, and this is actually in the Sheffield Botanical Gardens. And to the right, I always like to point out that you've got the British people there clapping away. They're not really sure what's going on, but they're having a wonderful time. And that's something that's really important for you to know. British people are fascinated by Latin American culture. I mean, look at me. I live in Mexico. We're fascinated by Mexican culture. We want in Latin American culture. We want to learn more about your culture. It's something that's really interesting for us. People are just starting to understand that tacos are not like Taco Bell, that they're soft tortillas. People are starting to learn about cumbia and salsa music and things like that. So you go ahead and you fly your flag. We really want to learn more about your culture. That's something that's really special. And you will feel like a celebrity on campus. Oh, look, there's a Mexican. There's the Mexican guy. They're fascinated. They really want to learn more about your culture. So you're going to feel really special, really loved. And that's great. So that was a little introduction to the university itself. I'm going to talk about the city, and then we're on to the politics and the international relations department. Sorry. So why would you study? We've already agreed that why would you study at Sheffield? We've given you loads of great reasons. Let's talk about why would you want to live in the city of Sheffield. So off to the chat. Here we go. Does anybody want to tell me where they believe that Sheffield is? Feel free to type in the chat where they believe Sheffield is. I'll give you 20 seconds. In the north. Excellent. Straight away, first answer, got it right. We are in the north of England. It doesn't seem that northern, but it is technically, if you've seen Game of Thrones, we just split it north and south. This is the north of England, not too far from Manchester, about 2 hours down to London on the train. So it's a really well-located city. You're nearby to Liverpool, you're nearby to Leeds, York, Newcastle's not far away, Edinburgh and Glasgow are not far away. You're sort of bang in the middle of the UK or Great Britain, this isle. So you can go up and down and visit wherever you want, but it's a really nice location. And I can say I'm from the north of England as well. You may hear my voice. I don't quite sound like James Bond. I'm from the north of England. The people there are extremely friendly, extremely warm, extremely kind, down to earth. You'll really like it. If you've seen Game of Thrones, just think about the people in Winterfell. They're all down to earth, good people. That's what we're dealing with. This is the city of Sheffield. It's England's fourth largest city. As you can see, it's, for English standards, it's a large city. I live in Mexico City. I can tell you for Mexican standards, this is not a very big city. It has about 600,000 people, but there's loads of things to do. It's in a beautiful valley, as you can see. It's very green. It's one of the greenest cities in Europe. But the best thing is, you can walk everywhere. So most people will walk and cycle. There's no real need to be hiring cars or getting Ubers and taxis. Of course, there are Ubers, there are buses and metros and everything else. But in reality, most people walk and cycle. It's very fresh, very clean. It's a great place. It's a lot cheaper than London. So for those people that have been to London, there's no denying it. London is very, very expensive. You have the benefit of living in a much cheaper city, a significantly cheaper city. You can hop on the train, get yourself down to London, go and see the Queen, go to the Harry Potter studios, go and see Big Ben when they finally finish it. Whatever it is you want to do, you can get to London quite easily. And want some wonderful cities. But it's good to know that where you're living, where you're paying your rent and your bills, it's significantly cheaper. And it is. So it's a lot cheaper to live in Sheffield. It's a really great place to live. I'm going to surprise you with some interesting facts with regards to Sheffield and how it is a vibrant centre of sport, music and culture. So this is our Peak District. It's our national park. It is extremely beautiful. It's only a 10-minute drive from the city centre. You can go cycling, hiking, climbing. Now this photo was probably taken, I would say, late summer, But you can imagine what it looks like when it's covered in snow. If you've got Instagram, for example, I can guarantee you a good amount of likes if you get over there and take some photos up on those hills. It's beautiful. It really is. And if you're into outdoor sports, for example, mountain biking or climbing, this is the place to be. Who's into football? If anyone's into football, it's good for you to know that Sheffield is home to the world's oldest football club. So the first ever football club is Sheffield FC. So if you saw the World Cup a couple of years ago, you would have heard the English people singing "Football's coming home," but unfortunately it didn't. But that is why, because England is the home of football, and Sheffield in particular is home to the world's oldest football club. We have two professional teams, that's Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield United are currently in the Premier League. They're doing very well. I believe in the top 4 or 5 before the pause. And so there's a lot of potential that they may actually end up in the Europa or Champions League next year. But either way, you're getting top quality footballers, top quality teams like Manchester United, Manchester City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Newcastle United, all visiting your home city. So it's something that's really special. If you're into music, there are loads and loads and loads of options for you. This is the Tramlines Festival that you can see in the background. It's the biggest urban music festival in the country. There's loads of music. There's always live music, always loads and loads of music. No matter what you like, there's always going to be live music for you to go and enjoy. And there are loads and loads and loads of places to meet with your friends. There's loads of bars, restaurants, cafes all over. Always have your student card with you because you always get special student deals, especially midweek. There's always things going on. And you can save money because with your student card, if you're into craft beer, cerveza artesanal, that's a massive deal in the UK, and Sheffield is one of the best places in the world for craft beer. So you'll never run out of places and beers to try in Sheffield. But there's so many places to go. You will always have a wonderful social life there. And if you're interested, the World Snooker Championships are also held. If you're not sure what snooker is, it's like pool or billard, but slightly more complicated. But it's quite popular in the UK. So if you're interested in that, by all means, you can enjoy that. We also have lots of historic buildings and green spaces. On the top right, that's a beautiful palace where they filmed Pride and Prejudice, Orgullo y Prejuicio. So you, by all means, go there, get your photo with the statue of Mr. Darcy. There's lots of beautiful churches, botanical gardens, loads of places to go on lovely, nice walks. You'll never run out of places to enjoy outside in Sheffield. So that is a really brief overview of the university itself. Now I'd like to talk to you about studying politics and international relations at the University of Sheffield. We will start out by talking about the undergraduate programs, and then we will talk about the postgraduate programs. If you're interested in a PhD, I'll leave you my details as well. All the information is going to be useful for you because you'll hear about what the researchers are working on. But if you want, I can later on help you find a professor that you can approach directly. That's one of the things that we would help you with in an over-education as well. So, but either way, for whatever level, I think this is going to be a really interesting and useful presentation for you. After doing my research, I think I'm quite keen on doing a master's here. It's really impressive. So let me show you. Let's begin. So, as a department, the Department of Politics and International Relations is extremely highly ranked. We have some top ranking, top 100 in the world, and top 5, top 3 in the UK. And most of the students that graduated get a wonderful job very soon after they graduate from the university. So it's an extremely highly ranked department. You will meet professors who are absolute experts in their field. I know a Mexican student who did her PhD, and she specifically chose Sheffield because of one professor that she'd heard about when she was doing her master's in Mexico, and she found out he actually studied in Sheffield. So imagine using research from a lecturer that you work with, that you learnt about in your master's or your undergraduate, and getting to actually work directly with them the following year. So the professors and the level of the quality of education in the department is wonderful. For bachelor's degrees, these are the main options that we have. Some interesting combinations. So the first two are courses that are specifically 100% taught in the Department of Politics and International Relations, and the rest of them are split up. So we have some really interesting combinations. Economics and politics, for example, politics and sociology, politics and philosophy. So you get the opportunity to study half of your course in the politics department and then another half in a different department, for example, in the economics department. So there's some really interesting combinations here that maybe you already know what you want to do when you graduate from university, and you may want to, you want to work in politics and policy, economic policies, fiscal policies, monetary policies. So you would probably pick economics and politics. So you already get to find that perfect combination. I'd like to talk to you about the program structure. In the UK, most of the degrees last only 3 years. Be aware that if you want to study a bachelor's degree in the UK, if you haven't studied the IB, you would need to take a foundation year. I can give you loads of information later on about that, but it's good for you to know. If that's the case, then your course would take 4 years. If you have taken the IB and you meet the requirements, you can enter directly into the course, and it's a 3-year course. So level 1 is year 1. So here you're going to get a broad understanding and get a broad knowledge of the key fields in politics. We want you to migrate from the way that you thought in high school to just how you think in university, which is more independent, using skills, analytical skills, using referencing, looking at professors and experts in the field, and that's what we want. So the first year is to get you ready and really get you to the university level. So there are loads of introductions to various different areas, and then once you finish year 1, in year 2 you have a bit more freedom, and then you can pick the area. So you get to look at analysing politics in general, and then you will get introductions to various areas, for example, global political economy, comparative politics, international relations, British politics. You are in the UK. If you want to become an expert in British politics, you have that opportunity. So we want to really get you on the foundation in the first year. Then once you have the foundation, the knowledge foundation, it's time to debate. It's time to really act and think. So we start to prepare you to become an independent researcher. Now that you've got the skills from the first year and you've got knowledge from loads of different key areas of politics, it's time for you to start developing your capabilities with your essay writing, different approaches and perspectives. So you've learned the foundations. Now it's time to look at how those foundations are discussed in different contexts. And there are loads and loads of different modules that you can choose from. Some really interesting modules as well. And some of them are very relevant as well. We have environmental politics, global capitalism, autocracies and democracies. So we have people from all over the world, from very different government structures. So we have people from communist countries. We have totalitarian countries. We have countries with royal families like the UK. We have a huge range of students from all over the world that all come from different backgrounds. And so it's really interesting to learn about those different ideas. So this is something that people will value a lot. The left, past, present, and future, the policies and governments of the EU. Obviously, the EU is something that's a very hot topic in the UK right now as well. Once you have that, level 3, year 3 is research. So your biggest project will be your dissertation. So you will do a lot of learning and teaching, which is research-based. You will carry out your own research, and you will study some really interesting modules, some, as they say, cutting-edge research. So each module that is on offer, which I'll show you now, they're all different areas that the university professors are studying. So there are huge list for you to look at, and some of them are extremely relevant as well. We have pandemics. I bet that's going to be a popular one next semester. We have loads and loads of Britain and the European Union, justice and world politics, the modern Middle East, politics and the quality of life, peacekeeping, parliamentary studies, narco-politics. So some really fascinating modules that you're going to really enjoy. And like I say, the first year was to get you used to what kind of areas that you're interested in. You'll get a foundation of all the different areas of politics. And now you're in level 3, and now you can look at some really specific areas. So some really, really interesting modules here. So I've picked out a couple of examples. So parliamentary studies, if you're interested in British politics, it's one of the oldest political spheres out there. How does it work? How are things discussed in Parliament? It's extremely interesting. They have, if you have ever seen a debate or a session in the House of Commons, the guy, basically the main speaker, and he invites other politicians to speak. He's the one that has the gavel. He visits the university to talk about his experiences. Someone from the House of Lords comes over as well. So this is super interesting. I find the British Parliament fascinating. This is something that's going to be really interesting. And to speak to people who actually work there every day is so interesting. We also have one, narco politics. Now, this is, I believe, the only place in the UK that has this module. So this is because one of the researchers at the university is looking at this. So this may be something that's really interesting for you, and it's very unique, but very, very interesting. Throughout your bachelor's, you're going to have loads and loads of support. There will be plenty of independent study, but you do have loads of help. So you have personal tutors, teaching support officers, employabilities officer. There's a politics society. So that's basically like a social, like the societies that I mentioned earlier. This is your opportunity to get together and have some fun activities. Student representatives as well. In this degree, if you want to, you can study abroad. We have loads and loads of different options for you across Europe. I know that the EU question comes in, but students would still be able to travel around Europe if they wanted to study. And we also have areas, universities in Australia, Hong Kong, New Zealand, Singapore. So you're already abroad because you're not from the UK, but now you're even more abroad. So if you wanted to do that, you can. And that gives you an even better, even more understanding. So career experience. Your final dissertation, if you want to, you can actually have that as a work-based dissertation. So you get a chance to work. There is loads of employment experience opportunities there, and the university will help you find them. So that's something that's really important as well when you graduate, is you want to have some experience under your belt. So this is something that they will help you find. And after our students graduate, there's a lot of students that have gone on to do wonderful things, and these are some of the associations that they've worked with. So there are some big names there. Something that's really special as well. The Sheffield is one of the best universities students find a job after they graduate. So that was a tour of the undergraduate programs. I'd now like to talk to you about the postgraduate programs. If you have any questions at all, feel free to just type them in the chat, and at the end of the session, I'll answer them all. So now we're going to talk about postgraduate degrees. So this is a vibrant graduate school. People, again, just like the university's typical mantra, with people from all over the world. We have around 140 masters and research students from all over the world. And you will get constant support throughout the process. And it's something that's really, really unique and really special. So these are three of the four main options for masters that the University of Sheffield has in the politics department. So I won't read them all out, but I will let you look at them. So we have international relations, politics, governance and public policy, international political economy. So these Some of them share certain modules, and then you can take optional ones. I'll show you those as well, and they all have dissertations at the end. So international relations. It's all about being a diplomat, building relationships between relations between different countries. You will talk about relationship buildings, formal and informal relationship, explore the world in all its complexity, analytical insights, mainstream approaches to building relationships between between countries. This is something that's really interesting. If you want to be a diplomat, this is where you want to be. This is the course for you. So this is a really, really interesting course. Politics, governance, and public policy. If you are interested in perhaps actually being a politician and coming up with your own public policies, this is the course for you. So this is about the drivers, the factors that come in when you look at when you are creating a public policy. What are the different influential factors? For example, economic, social, political, policy making at regional, national, and international settings. So if you really want to be a policy maker, this is the course for you. International political economy. Now this is not an economics course. You don't need an economic background. This is basically about how money and wealth is distributed. So in some economies, there is an overriding middle class. Most people can afford most goods. In other, for example, here in Latin America, the classes are very separated and very different, and there are large extremes. So this is basically how the money flows through the economy. So it's something that's really, really interesting. And they look at capitalism, poverty, migration, technological change, environmental degradation, and how economy, policy, society, and culture can get to come together. So this is really, really interesting. And this is the next one. This is one that I haven't mentioned yet. This is political theory. So this is partly taught by the Department of Politics and International Relations and partly taught by the Department of Philosophy. So if you're interested in looking at global justice, war, democracy, rights, looking at previous political leaders like Winston Churchill, Hitler, to name a couple big names, to look at them and analyze them from a philosophical point of view and also a political point of view. This is something that's really, really interesting. I believe this would be very popular as well. And again, it's all about critical analysis, understanding of political theory and philosophy. So for this one, just for you to see, these are the modules. There will be a dissertation and there'll be research, and then you can pick some really interesting modules as well. So feminism, global justice, political obligation, freedom. So there's some really interesting modules there you can choose from. And for all of the masters, there are some innovative, modern modules that you probably wouldn't get in other places. Terrorism and political violence, global health, that's going to be a big one as well, given the current situation, the EU, capitalism and crisis. So a lot of policy making in the real world, feminism's in there as well. So there are some really, really cutting edge, as they mentioned before, modern modules that you may not get in other universities and in other countries. And what's really interesting, again, is you get people from all over the world. You get students from China that for the first time in their lives, they're allowed to criticize their governments. So this is something that's really, really interesting. And you'll learn these modules with people from all over the world with completely different backgrounds. So they'll all have a different perspective of how these things work. So that's something that's going to add a lot to your experience. So that was the Politics and International Relations Department. Just to briefly explain who Innova Education is, we're based in Mexico City, but we help students up and down Latin America. Our role is to support you throughout the entire process. It's completely free of charge. And we are here to help. So we're here to help you find the right course, help you with the visa process, help find the right scholarship for you. We're here to give you all that support. And we have loads of universities that we work with in the UK, and also some Dutch universities as well. And we can help you apply to a few different universities. So you might say to me, Andrew, I really like Sheffield, but I also want to apply to a course at Durham and Newcastle. And I will tell you that is absolutely fine. I will help you with the applications for all 3 universities. And in the end, it's entirely up to you where you go. I'm not going to push you to go anywhere. I want to give you all the options and the pros and cons, and it's up to you. Okay, that's something that's really important. At the end of the day, I want you to go where you want to go. I want you to go where that's going to make you happy, the course that's right for you. That's something that's really important as well. That you're studying what you want to study. It's your future. So I will give you all the tools and support, and the decision will be yours at the end. So we can help you with all of that. I will leave you my details as well. If you have specific questions, my email address is there. My phone number, if you're from outside of Mexico, just add +52 for the mobile, but most of you will have got a WhatsApp from me today anyway. My Facebook pages as well. And do we have any questions? I know that Anais has just posted a question saying, could we talk about tuition fees? Absolutely. In the meantime, if you do have any other questions, please post them in the chat. So tuition fees vary, but they're normally between £18,000 to £21,000, probably closer to 20. A little bit on the lower of that scale, because normally the engineering courses are more expensive. Let's say £18,000 to £20,000 is the average. So in pesos mexicanos, that would be around 500,000 pesos, more or less. But there are loads of scholarship opportunities. We work with loads of government sponsors like CONACYT, FUNED, FIDER, Cien Becas, What Futuro, ANI from Uruguay, loads and loads of options for funding, with Chevening as well, because we want to help you find the scholarship. We want to get you the best deal. So, but that is more or less the approximate value. And there are scholarships from the government, but there are also scholarships from the university. For undergraduates, you can get a scholarship worth half of that, so 50% off, which is a really good deal. And that's for the entire course. So as long as you maintain a good grade throughout the entire 3-year degree, you will keep that scholarship. So that's something that's really, really nice. I hope that answered your question, Anais. If you do have any more, just let me know. Carla may explain more about the Chevening scholarship. Of course. So Chevening is from the UK government. They have presence in most of the countries in Latin America, if not all of them, as far as I'm aware. And they offer fantastic students, an opportunity to study a master's, fully paid for by the universities. So that's something it's very unique. There are not many countries that offer this scholarship. So they're inviting you to study in the UK, and they pay for absolutely everything. So it's a really, really nice deal. Hope that explained, but it is just for master's students, the Chevening. Juan Carlos, can you talk more about the PhD program and scholarships available? So in most of the PhD opportunities are what we'd say ad hoc. You are designing them. So basically you would look at the university, you would find a professor that's interested in what you're interested in, and you would send them a proposal. And that's basically the first step that you would take to start a PhD. There are some offers, some programs ready available, but most of them are, what you want to work with, and you find the professor to do so. I can speak to you later on and send you more information about how that's done, or you can send me a message as well. Griselle, for the master's degree in economics and politics, I need to have a basic knowledge in economics. Yes, but you don't need to have economics masters, because the politics and economics is a bachelor's degree, and then we have political economy, which is the master's degree. So I'm not sure which one you mean. If it's the master's degree, no, you do not need to have any prior knowledge to economics. They will help you with the basic policy information. But like I say, it's still a politics course that's carried out in the politics department. So don't need to worry. If you didn't study economics in your bachelor's, you can still take that course. Don't worry about it. I hope that answered your question, Grisel. So if we have any more questions, I am here. Let me know. Okay. Anais, the tuition fee is per year. Yeah, so that's an annual fee. Depending, obviously, if it's a master's in the UK, the master's only lasts 1 year. If it's a bachelor's, yes, that is the annual fee, about 18 to 20,000 pounds per year. But that's the brutto, and we will help you find as many scholarships as possible to lower that fee. But that is the normal fee. Like we sell, master's degree in conflict resolution. No, the main programs in politics I've mentioned, but here are the modules that you can choose from during your master's in politics. So you may find a nice list of modules there that could be related. So it could be terrorism, political violence. Let's have a look. International political sociology of civil wars. So you may be able to find something there that's of interest, but an actual master's in conflict resolution, unfortunately not. The other option would be, depending what focus, is it politics or is it business? We do have HR programs as well in the management school, which might be of interest to you. Hope that helps. And thank you, Anais. That's great. I will jump back to my contact details. Either way, I'll be in touch with you anyway to speak more about, to speak further with you, to learn more about your interests. There's so many opportunities at the University of Sheffield, and I know you're going to have a fantastic time. It's really, really special place. So I'll give you another minute if you want to add in any more questions. Yeah, hi Carla. Okay, so there's various fees, but in general they're in the range of 18 to 20,000 pounds for the 1 year masters. So it is per year, but it's only a 1 year masters. 18 to 20,000 pounds is the sort of max figure, and then from there we will look to try and find the right scholarships to lower those fees. And obviously, if you can get help from FUNED, FIDER, or Chevening, or whichever options that you have, then that may end up being free. So that's something there's some really good options there, and we will look and we will explore all the funding options that you can find. Thank you, Carla. Any other questions? I'll leave you another 30 seconds if you want to think of any more questions. In the meantime, I will be in contact with you tomorrow to speak to you a bit further. Okay, well, thanks very much to everyone who joined the session today. Thank you very much for your interest. Oh, here we go. We have a question. Before I sign off, we have a question. Due to the pandemic, are they giving extensions to deliver official documents? I ask this because I'm going to finish my master's degree next semester, but I don't think they will give me the official documents on time. So the courses in the UK start in September. So in your case, it would probably be until next September 2021 before you'd be able to start. By then, obviously, we hope that things will be smoothed over. There are some flexibilities, from the university. They are very understanding of the situation that we're in right now. And in general, the scholarship providers as well, for example, CONACYT have also provided with some flexibilities. In your case, I think you'll be fine because you won't be going until 2021, so you should be okay. Yeah. Thank you, Juan Carlos. So, yeah, thank you very much to everyone who's joined the session today. I hope it's been really interesting for you. I want to really make clear that these students who join these sessions, who then get in touch and apply, they do often end up going. This is not a pipe dream. This is not me selling you this idea that's never going to happen. This is real. Okay. This is, we have, I said, over 100 Latin American students at the university right now. So this is something that's genuinely going on every year. The opportunities are there. We are here to help you and support you. So it might, when you joined the session, you might have thought this was something that was very extreme and, not going to happen, but it's very real. There are some great opportunities there, and it's a lot easier than you think. So we're here to support you and make this, make this happen for you. We're here to make this happen for you and make this real for you. And you'll be on the photos with all the Latin American students in the presentations in the next couple of years. We'll help you and support you. And I wanted to thank you again for joining. It's been a pleasure. These are interesting times, dark times that we're in right now, but it's been lovely to speak to you all. It's really appreciate you joining. I hope you stay safe, and I hope we can all catch up in person sooner rather than later, but maybe even for a nice cold pint in Sheffield. But thank you very much to you all. Have a great night and stay safe. Thank you.